things off your mind, you get them down on paper. And often things that are just allowed to roam around in your mind cause you not to be able to think clearly and cause you frustration and stress, etc. So the writing down of it gets it off your mind, gets down on paper, and when you look at it, you go, it's not such a big deal. Or it's also to have you realize, are those things that are bugging me, everything that bugs you, all the stuff in your life falls into two categories. Stuff you can control and stuff you can't control. And so by writing it down, you can take that look at it and go, why would you worry about stuff you can't change? We do it. We do it all the time.
Well, that's the credo of this 12-step program in its simplest form of change what I can change, accept what I can't, and be wise enough to know the difference.
Wise enough to know what I can and can't. So journaling is a form of doing that.
Well, for me, I learned the simplest aspect of that tool is when I go shopping and I don't have a shopping list, I often buy everything except what I went to buy.
Yeah, it's called lack of focus, Mark.
Yeah, well, and that's when I do not journal.
Yeah.
I journal both my personal, emotional day, and I also journal my aspirations.
Good for you.
And because I'm a creative, I come up with word phrases or ideas. I've gotten almost to sleep and had an idea come into my head. And I know now if I do not get up and write that down in the morning, it's back on the shelf in my brain, where all that dust is collecting. And, and I know that the idea has to come out and go on the paper so that the next day I can take it a little bit further.
Right.
And I have, I've achieved much success in my life without actually intentionally, or so I thought, intentionally doing it, because I just wrote it down. And like driving a car, that unconscious confidence.
It's interesting you say that, because what I view when you write things down, because if people aren't accustomed to that, they feel uncomfortable with it. And I always tell people, you'll never move ahead in your life if you're not willing to do things you haven't done before. If you're not willing to go through uncomfortable, your life will not improve one iota. You can't improve your life without going through uncomfortable. Anybody who achieved anything in life had to go through uncomfortable. I know your listeners, for example, whatever job they have right now in their life, they had to go through the stage of being uncomfortable about getting the job in the beginning to be where they are. And people who get stuck in a job won't move ahead in their job until they're willing to do new and different things. So that feeling of uncomfortable. Yeah. But when you write things down in a journal, what I look at it is, I view it as being your conscious mind speaking to your unconscious mind. In other words, it's a form of communicating, getting to that underlying unconscious self that says, hey, this has got credence, this has got significance, and you're going to do something with it.
Right.
Every idea that has ever materialized into my life that has benefited me have been things that I've written down. For years, all I did was think about it. I always go, oh, one day I'll do this, and people that live on the someday I'll, someday I'll do this, and someday I'll do that, but that wasn't enough. It was the moment that I started writing it down and expressing it and thinking about it and reflecting on it that those things started to materialize. What I try and help people to understand about living what I call an extraordinary life is I try to get people to understand that the stuff is of value to you. Most people look at stuff as keeping them back. But the greatest movement that people make in their lives is when they recognize the stuff is there to learn what it is you're really capable of doing. In other words, we can use it as a stumbling block, as a deterrent, as a reason why we're a victim, or we can use it as an opportunity to find out what we're really made of. I use this particular quote. I tell people that you are bigger and better than any stuff that life will ever throw at you. Dr. Bernie Siegel wrote a wonderful book called Prescriptions for Living. And in his book, he uses this phrase. He says, compost happens, and compost promotes growth. And I couldn't say it any better than that. All the crap that you ever get in your life is an opportunity to learn what it is you're really made of, and to understand that that's why those problems are there. They're there to help you to learn what else you can do.
That's right.
How you can move on. Now, it's hard to see that at the beginning. Like, when crap happens in your life, you don't say, oh, goody, this is going to really help me. It
No,
takes
but-
a while to get through it, but once you do, Dr. Bernie Siegel also said, my problems are my teachers. There's another exhilarating perspective again about taking something that could be construed as negative and turn it into a positive and use it as something to catapult you to the next level in your life.
Well-
Every problem is a teacher.
And you have actually, as a facilitator, you teach people to get away from their usual practice of watering their crap and trying to keep it from
Exactly.
turning into fertilizer.
Bingo.
So anyway, we're just about up to the liquid lunch. I want to thank you immensely for coming in and improving my perspective on life, and hopefully showing the audience that there is a better life out there for them. If they want to take that extraordinary journey and be extraordinary. And if they go to bobkeohler.com,
Yes.
they can get some direction. You even have a monthly newsletter
I have
that
a
you'll send
free
out.
newsletter that I send out, and it's just Bob Keohler, KOEHLER.com. There's a lot of recommended articles and reading and free things that people can get a little bit of a lift, and my monthly newsletter they can sign up for, and every month they get some new ideas on how to move their life along that extraordinary journey.
And they can check out your new project, which is called Bounce.
Bounce, yes. The subtitle is The Harder Life Hits Me, the Higher I Bounce. It's the ability to learn resilience, and people either have it or they don't. And whatever you practice, you get good at. So I try to help people to learn to bounce back from the crap and the stuff that will happen all their lives. It is a fact of life, but it's not whether it happens or not, it's what we do about it and the things that we learn along the way to move us ahead to really enjoy